Ladies and gentlemen, I am Sherman D. Manning in Los Angeles, California. I'm Atlanta born, Atlanta bred. When I die, I'll be Atlanta dead. Atlanta's still my home. And I sure want to make it back there someday soon. I wanted to take a few minutes to try to do a quick podcast. I have received a number of calls today from a number of you who want to know what's going on with our with our meeting next week. And I wanted to assure you that we will be at the Greater Hopewell Baptist Church on July 18th, which is Monday. We will be there at 7 o'clock sharp. All the smart people that I know are getting there at 6:45. And believe you me, I'm not overselling it. I'm telling you what I know to be a fact, and that is I've been getting calls from different parts of the country where people are coming down on vans to be a part of this national night of prayer for black men and the police. And I want you to be there. I want you to be there. You'll accept my apology for it being a little difficult to hear me at the moment. I'm not able to get as close to the mic as I'd like to get. But as somebody told me in an email yesterday, we'd rather have bad quality podcasting from you, Sherman D. Manning, than no podcasting at all. So here I am, doing the best I can under the circumstances. I'll get some help. Sooner or later, it will be coming my way. But for right now, I'm a solo practitioner, and I'm doing the best that I can. I have been up working on my sermon, on my message, on my speech for next week since about 5:30 this morning, and I just stopped. So I put 6 hours in on the message already, and I'm still not done. And at least I now know what I'm preaching about and what I'm speaking about. If you'd like to know what I'm preaching about, how many of you would like to know what my subject is going to be next week? Would you like to know what I'm speaking about at the National Night of Prayer for Black Men and Police on July 18th at 7 o'clock sharp at 3214 Vernon in Los Angeles? Would you like to know what my subject will be? Great. Come Monday night and you'll find out, because I ain't telling you right now. God gave it to me. He kept it from me for the longest. And now that he has given it to me, I will give it to you when you show up. And so we want you to be there at that service. We're going to have several bishops and pastors coming to pray for the police and for the black men. And then we will have a message which shall be delivered. The keynote speaker will be a guy that I know intimately, and he is the chief of sinners. This guy has messed up and made mistakes and done wrong and failed miserably sometimes to get it right. But he is a man after God's own heart, and he is a man that loves God. I'm talking about Sherman D. Manning in the third person. I will be there saying what thus saith the Lord. We've invited the mayor, Garcetti. We've invited Police Chief Charlie Beck. We've invited Snoop Dogg. If I could find the phone number to Cuba Gooding, I would invite him. And what's this other fellow's name? It's escaping my memory at the moment. You all know him. He was in NWA. He's an actor also. And his son is an actor. This guy played in Boys in the Hood. I'm looking at him in my mind's eye, and I can't come up with a name at the moment, but you know what I'm talking about. He was a rapper, and now he's an actor, and he was in Boys in the Hood, and he was also in this movie Straight Outta Compton, and his son played him in that movie. Can't think of his name, but I would invite him. Anybody that wants to come, meet us at 3214 Vernon, Greater Hopewell Baptist Church. It's a couple of blocks away from Crenshaw, over near Lamert Park in that area. And you know, I'm very, very new to Los Angeles, and I don't know my way either around town. But if you put 3214 Vernon in your GPS. It'll take you straight there. And we will see you next week. We got to figure out a way to create a dialogue between cops and the community. And we want the police officers to do what they said on paper. As Dr. King once said, do what you said you would do on paper. And that is serve and protect. And quit cutting our men down with bullets. This stuff makes no sense. Think about sometimes what they do. And they'll empty a weapon into an alleged suspect. I mean, how do you justify 50 bullets in one man? Somebody has to do something about training these guys. If 8 cops show up on the same scene and there's one suspect, there ought to be some kind of signal. Who's going to do the shooting? There ought to be some kind of communication so that you don't have 8 guys each shooting 10 bullets apiece. If they shot 20 bullets apiece, 8 guys, that would be 160 shots. And this has happened. We have empirical data that this kind of thing happens, where they would just empty their weapons into one man and then find out after they pumped 50 or 60 bullets into him that he was not a threat at all because he was holding a cell phone or holding an ink pen. And some poorly trained officer who's been doing this for the longest then says, while fearing for my life, I did thus and so. And it always amazes me how you can have 8 police officers on one scene with one suspect, and all 8 of them will be in fear for their lives. And I always say to myself, I know in the heat of the moment things can happen. And I also know that, you can be in fear for your life. But if there's 8 of us and 1 of him, and all 8 of us are packing for sure, we know we got weapons because we're the police. We know every one of us has a weapon in his hand pointed at the suspect. How can all 8 of us be in fear for our lives? And he's got what we think. And that's very debatable because sometimes it turns out, lots of times that they're not armed at all. But let's say he had a handgun, which is what they'll say they thought he had. That cell phone looked like a handgun. So, it certainly did not look like an Uzi or an AK-47. So maybe one of us, who at the most, were in fear. But not all of us. Because one man who we suspect may have one handgun in his hand can only shoot 1 bullet at a time. So how are they going to shoot all 15 of us? So some of this is just poor training. And they always use the excuse that they were fearing for their lives. Because that's supposed to justify, I was afraid, so I murdered him. So my question is this. If I'm afraid of you or anybody else, do I have the right to murder you? If I'm afraid, do I have a right to pump 20 bullets in you and then say that the reason I did it was I was afraid? And since I was afraid, I should not get any jail time for it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what your police department says consistently. They were afraid, and since they were afraid, they should not get any time in jail for the crime that they committed. And it is a crime. If it's not a crime, then let me go do it tomorrow. See what happens. Let me go get a gun with a registered permit, run out there and pump 20 bullets into someone, and then find out he had an ink pen, not a gun, and see what they do to me. They will bury me underneath the prison system. Period. And so these kind of things are what provoke me to thought and tell me that we need to do something quite rapidly about our police departments. And this is not about being enemies with the police. This is not about hating the cops. It's not about any of that. This is about asking them to do what they said they would do. To do what they said they would do. On paper, serve and protect. And not murder people. Are you all with me? Do me a favor. Get a copy of The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice on Amazon.com or at your local bookstores. Call everybody you know and tell them to be with us next Monday, July 18th at 7 o'clock p.m. at Greater Hopewell Baptist Church, 3214 Vernon, for a national night of prayer for cops and African American men. Cops and all men. Black lives do matter. And all those other lives that they want to talk about matter also. But you know, while we say Black Lives Matter, you know what the point is. I get sick every time someone hollers Black Lives Matter. Well, blue lives matter too, and all that old crazy stuff. You don't go to a function where they're raising money for cancer. You don't run to that function and say, wait a minute, we need to raise money for kidneys too. If you want to do a function for kidneys, then you do your function. But don't get mad at me because I'm raising money for cancer. And so when we say Black Lives Matter, they say Black Lives Matter, people get upset and start yelling about all the other lives that matter. That's asinine. Miss me with that. I don't even have time to address that kind of foolishness. Sherman D. Manning. I'll see you Monday night, next week, July 18th at Greater Hopewell Baptist Church. Bring your friends, bring preachers, bring teachers, bring folk who love God, bring folk who are not so sure about God. Bring them in. We'll be there. 7 o'clock sharp. Sherman D. Manning.